Hello, welcome to another deck profile. It's Black Tide here. We are doing the Agents of Destruction deck profile. It's been a long time coming for me. I've loved this deck since it came out. I love the array of options, the different ways you can play and build it. And since it's come out, it's gotten a lot of support, indirect support and intended support in the Unison and the promo card. The Baby Janemba promo card, a great card for the deck. But before I, say how great the deck is, or its chances in the current meta, I'll just go through the deck for any of you that don't know. This SCR is not part of the deck. I just love the art style. I wish it was a little bit better, but that is power creep for you. I'll show you what SCR is later. But anyway, this is the front side. Basically, the way you play this deck initially is that you want to race down to 4 life as soon as possible, and he helps you a lot with not only his effect, but his activate main or activate his auto. Not only is his auto great for rushing down to 4, but also you've got a different card in the deck, an extra card that also helps you take life. So when this card attacks, you add a card from your life to your hand, then you look at the top 5 and you can add an Agent of Destruction to hand, and when your life is a 4 less, draw 1 card and reactivate an energy, flip him over. Standard stuff. Now his front side is incredible, but it can hinder you greatly. If you're losing, it's not great for getting you back into the match. In some ways, well, if you're lacking card range, sort of, yes and no. It depends on what's in your hand, really. That's what kind of what it comes down to. So he's a bit luck dependent, but basically, stop being around the bush, Shane. One thing I forgot about the say about the front side is that the permanent, if you're wondering, is that every Agent of Destruction card in your hand has no specified cost. So, basically, it's a bit like the Universe 7 deck. I don't know if structure deck is the same. Basically, your Garlic, your Android 13, anything that says Android of Destruction in its card name can be played using a blue energy. You can summon out a yellow Garlic. Standard. You probably already understand what I'm saying by just reading it out. It's activate main. You can just choose one Agent of Destruction card in your energy. Choose one Agent of Destruction card with an energy cost of 2 or less in your hand and play it. Now that's pretty good on its own, but what makes this deck broken and why a lot of people don't like the deck is because of this boy right here. He causes all Agent of Destruction cards in your hand and on the field to be reduced by 1. So essentially you can play your 3 costs, your Baby Janemba, your Broly, and your so on, for 2. So they count as well with this once per turn. And then you can tap 3, essentially get for a turn early. You can bring out your Unison, your AOD Unison, either one of them. There's 2 of them. There's 3 or 4 of them actually, but there's only 2 that are worth playing. One of them, the Janemba one, is more for a mill strategy. But anyway, this is the card, absolute focus of the deck. You need this on field, and this is the one thing that kind of holds the deck back a bit. Because most formats since he's come out really has had a deck in the meta that has barrier removal. So this deck cannot beat U7 Goku unless the U7 Goku player just doesn't know what your deck does or what they're doing, because all they have to really do is summon out the Frieza card, and unless you have some counterplay, and unfortunately the Frieza card I think is a 4 cost, it might be 3, but the one that has dual attack minus 1900, and they have quite a few other cards that minuses ignoring barrier. So unfortunately that's what causes this deck to never really make its mark on the meta, but you can still top with this deck, matchup dependent. Like if you're going against, I think, Vegeta, Trunks, King Piccolo, Gohan, like a lot of red decks really, aside from U7 Goku, this does quite well against. Anything that does a lot of drawing, this build in particular does fantastic against. I'm playing the Agents of Destruction Strike Back. This card helps you awaken early, because you get to not only add up to 2 cards from your hand. They have to be Agent of Destruction cards, but you get to take a life as well. So that's 3 cards potentially to your hand. So that's a great card for adding stuff and helping you awaken as soon as possible. So now we're going into the Agents of Destruction. I play 2 Broly, Agent of Destruction. He doesn't ignore Barrier, and a lot of cards this format, or a lot of decks, especially Zeno Gojira, they just kind of don't really play anything that great under 5. So I only play him at 2, and obviously the deck does a lot of searching and adding to hand, so I see him quite regularly. I only really need to remove ones. I play 4 Hatchiyak. This dude, the whole purpose of this is to get this guy. So if you don't start off with this guy in hand, or this guy in hand, put your whole entire hand back and shuffle 6 back, because you need one of these to play the game. Here's the promo card I've mentioned him thing. I play 3 of him. The ratios aren't the biggest deal in the world because you're doing so much searching and adding to hand that you can very much just, you know, search out the chances are you'll see one of every Agents of Destruction or multiple copies of it, and you're kind of just choosing which one you need for the current predicament you're in. Because of this guy, Turles allows you to add any of them. When he attacks, and he comes off 15k, and he's a 1 cost because of this guy, and you can summon for free off this dude. So you should always be seeing this dude. He's one of the first guys you should grab. He kind of fills in the gap that the leader has, because most leaders, you attack and you draw 1, or you draw 1, or you look at the top 5. He looks at the top 5 and adds an Agent of Destruction. So it's quite. That's what I kind of like about the uniqueness of this deck, is that the leader kind of comes in parts, because you need this boy and this boy on field to play it at full power. Here's your counterplay. Android 13, Agent of Destruction. If something's played under 3, battle power of 3, it's played in drop instead. It's part of the counterplay, so it works on things that have barrier. It's pretty good against the likes of Trunks and Vegeta. This is why I believe this deck is really good. Would be a meta deck if it wasn't for U7 Goku and Zeno Gojira. Obviously I'm not saying it's the best deck, but I do think we'd see a lot more tops if those were not in the meta. And I'm only playing 3 of it because there's a lot of decks, as I say, that don't really care about 3 drops, so you don't want to brick on it. And then I'm playing the best negate in the game, probably. Why is it the best negate in the game? That's a pretty lofty claim. Now obviously there's a lot of negates that do great things, but what he does is that he brings out an Agent of Destruction from the deck with its effects negated. And what we're going to try and bring out then is the Lord Slug super combo. Because he also has the auto. Of course his effects will be negated for the turn, so you won't get it on play. But his auto is crazy. When your opponent activates a counterplay skill, they choose 2 cards in their hand and discard them. So that protects you against super Kamehameha and, well, every counterplay. Why do I even need to distinguish? Your opponent's not going to want to discard 2 cards. It's not worth counterplaying most of the time. And it just says when your opponent activates a counterplay, it's not even with a cost, or, you know, if a counterplay 3 cost, or yada yada yada. Anyway, continuing on with slugs, we are doing this Lord Slug, Agent of Destruction. When he's first brought out, and you can bring him out off this guy's effect, and or 2 for him, or just for 2 because of his effect. When you play this card, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and puts in their drop rate. That's typical green stuff. He's just really handy if you just need to tin out your opponent's hands, but that's not why we play him. It's just a nice little bonus. Why we play him is because for just 1 green energy, we can bring out the best floodgate in the entire game, and this is why I say it's great and would be in the meta if barrier removal wasn't so prevalent. Super Namekian is one of the toughest cards to play through. He's got unique. That's not why. He's got barrier and he's 20k power, really hard to remove. But for Bond 2, which is pretty much, he's so easy. It's not 2 Namekians, it's not too many, it's just 2 battle cards you have to on field. And when this guy's in rest mode, your opponent can't add cards from deck to hand from non-leader skills. So basically your opponent's super combos, a lot of their autos, they won't work. Only their leader can draw or add a card from deck to hand. So you will find pretty quickly, especially if you were using this guy on the same turn, your opponent is going to run out of cards quite quickly. And that's why I say it's great against King Piccolo, because it shuts off his piano and it shuts off the unison. It's great against Gohan because the whole point is you combo with the skill list and you draw, that shuts that off. U7 Gohan. And Vegeta Trunks again does a lot of the drawing. Zeno Gojira, if you can get this guy out early, you kind of struggle to get it out early. And obviously they can warp it with the blocker dude. So it's not great. It's not. Zeno Gojira kind of has too many tools in his arsenal, but we'll see next ban list. This is the final. That's the last of the AOD cards. Going back to the super combos, this is the final super combo. I've been kind of going back and forth whether to play 4 of this dude or 3 and 1 of him. I'm playing this lineup at the moment. Let me just think, because just times where I want to get that draw, and this is the one kind of setback of this super combo, is that there's no draw. So I would like to have the option just to be able to super combo and draw 1 card. Another reason why this deck is super powerful is that it can use Senzu Bean. He's blue, so once you have him on field and you feel comfortable that you don't really need other copies of him, you can just start charging him, or you can charge the Unison, or you can charge another copy of Senzu Bean. This is a great card. Oh, Turles is also blue, sorry. And he's unique, so you'll probably not want to bring up more copies. You can comfortably charge a Turles, especially just so Senzu Bean is active. Great card. Obviously everyone knows what it does. This makes Agents of Destruction fantastic as well. It's a card that was missing from black for so long. This is essentially what every other color has. In fact, that homicidal clones, you're testing the opposition, and freeze the clones thing. You basically take a lot if your life is at 5 or less. I think if your leader is mono black, if your life is at 5 or less, yeah, you can take a life and play this for taking a life, or you can tap the 2 and hard play it. But what's great about him is that you negate the attack and you get a blocker, so you can negate a double strike and then play him and stop another attack, maybe another double strike. Furthering Destruction Champa if I need to go for game. Tapion. I'm not sure if I'll keep Tapion Calamity Challenger in. Basically I'm playing him because we play a blue Unison, which is this boy. They pair well together, but it doesn't come up all too often. Mostly because I'm playing 1 of him, I can't search him, so I have to find him. The blue Unison is fantastic. Also, it's pretty handy if you're going to attack with this guy. Your opponent is probably going to negate the attack or activate a blocker, do something to prevent you, obviously, from getting the double strike. A lot of times, the 20k double strike is going to be enough to win you the game. Especially if you play your super combo or something like that. Your opponent will either negate the attack, declare blocker, or try a combo out of it. So then, tap 1 blue, another double strike, 20k. So essentially, it kind of makes him, in a way, for just tapping 1. If he was in your hand, it kind of just gives him dual attack. If you think about it in some ways. Not really, whatever. Here is the original Vegeta Resolute Agent Destruction. He's kind of the same as this guy, except he blows up your opponent's field, and he's green. He's got critical. He's pretty handy for, if you want to get your double strike in. If your opponent's 3 life, double strike him. Instead of his getting 2 cards to his hand, those cards go to his drop. So, he's pretty handy if you want to do things in a different order. Like, if sometimes you want to hit him, like you won't necessarily always want to do a double strike. If you had 3 life left, you'd probably want to take that 3rd life off him and then take the 2 life rather than give your opponent 2 cards. All very obvious stuff. He puts those 2 cards in the dropper, so you can do that immediately. Yeah, he's a great card. Blow up your opponent's field. The -5 never really comes up. If your duty card is an evil wizard card, and all of your energy is mono green, choose 3 cards in your opponent's hand and discard them. If you're in the very, very late game, he's pretty handy against maybe the Android decks or in the yellows. He'll probably get you the win against those. But most of the time you'll do his +1. So he goes to 25k double strike. Actually, and he's great in the mirror match because he ignores barrier. Then we're going to play the obvious Overwhelm. Just great. Dual attack. Keep the aggro going. Some people might play Secret Identity for the removal. I like Bardock. I like... A lot of times you tend to win the game with Bardock. He's a game winner. 25k dual attack. If your opponent can't stop the attack, I must say most of the time you'll get the W. And then the SCR, the best SCR for this deck, Time Patrol Maiden Pan. Obviously, if you don't know, she acts as a hatch. It doesn't hatch for battle cards. They can still attack with their leader, their unison, or I think attack with 1 battle card. It doesn't negate the attack. There's some flaws in it, but then you can tap 1 energy and remove this card from the game and take 1 of your opponent's cards, battle cards, I believe. Yep. And that's the deck profile. This obviously, this wasn't part of the deck. I just really love the art on this. I wish they reboot the another Asian Destruction SCR, but that's my deck profile. Please tell me what you think of the deck down below. Tell me what you would change or what success you've had with the deck. I will just put up on the board for you guys my profile. So for anyone who just wants to skip to the end and assemble the deck themselves, I will swap this around, and there we go. So that is the deck profile right there for you. If any of you guys want to play it, that's how I'm doing it. It's up on DBS Deck Planet if you guys just want to deck net it or do more looking into it. It's 52 cards, and yep. Hope you have an awesome day. Comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and have an awesome day. Goodbye.